Hello everybody, this is Jeff with Channel Avenue, and Sony just surprisingly dropped some news yesterday via an article with Wired and a blog post from Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan. He gives a few details regarding the release window, some new specs, the controller, and a remake of an unspecified game. As you can see, this is a brand new channel, so subscribing would really be nice. So Sony has been pretty tight-lipped concerning the PS5 lately, skipping E3 entirely and not mentioning anything at the most recent state of play, presumably because they didn't want to steal the thunder away from The Last of Us Part 2. But being about a year away from release, it's time to get the hype train started. So yes, the PS5 will be released holiday season of 2020. A lot of people speculated this. It was kind of obvious to go head-to-head with Microsoft's new console, Project Scarlet. I bet that it'll be released around mid-November, just like Sony's last two consoles were, just before Black Friday. This article also mentions what the name of Sony's new console is going to be. No silly pseudo-names like Scarlet, Prospero, or the Game Master 5000. It's shockingly going to be called PlayStation 5.
Giggity, 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 let's have sex!
I like it. Keeps with the trend and shows that Sony doesn't need to call their new console something stupid in order to sell it. And no, that's not the official logo, just a neat looking one I found on Google. Next, the article gets more into the specs of the PS5. I'll try to skip all that nerd jargon, but the PS5 will be able to support ray tracing. It's essentially a much better technique to enable complex lighting and sound effects in a 3D environment. This has pretty much been only seen in big budget movies using 3D animation by studios who can afford the computers necessary to render this kind of stuff. This is definitely next generation stuff for video games, and a lot of people and developers are excited about it. Another big deal is the solid state drive rather than a hard drive, which could turn a loading time from a hassle to a blink. SSDs are all about raw speed, and it's drastically faster than a hard drive. Simply put, a hard drive is mechanical with moving parts and kind of acts like a record player, and a solid state drive has no moving parts and is in a solid state. It's more like a flash drive and can load data almost instantly. And other than relying on it for its raw speed, there are actually many other ways that developers can take advantage of this, which still remains to be seen. This also could be used to simplify data, making for a more configurable installation and removal, for just say installing or uninstalling the campaign or multiplayer separately. We already technically do have this on PS4, and I don't really think it's that big of a deal.
I don't care.
But it just highlights how the SSD allows finer grained access to data rather than treating games like big blocks of data. The PS5 will also have a completely revamped user interface, and it's about time. They state that the PS4's bare-bones home screen at times feels frozen in amber. You can see what your friends have recently done or even what game title they might be playing at the moment, but without launching an individual title, there's no way to tell what single-player missions you could do or what multiplayer matches you could join. The PS5 will change that. So essentially, you don't have to boot up the game to see what's happening. The article continues. Multiplayer game servers will provide the console with a set of joinable activities in real time. Single-player games will provide information like what missions you could do and what rewards you might receive for completing them. And all of those choices will be visible in the UI. As a player, you can just jump right into whatever you like, which I think is pretty neat. Just say you are playing a single-player game and you see someone on your friends list playing an online match in, I don't know, Call of Duty. You'll be able to see that game mode, map progression, and jump right in with presumably minimal load times. Next, the article discussed the controller. They said that it's still unnamed, but I would guess it's going to be called the DualShock 5. It apparently looks a lot like the DualShock 4. They didn't say if it still had that useless touchpad on it, but they did say that it had a little hole that was a microphone for a voice-driven AI assistant. Not really a feature that I could see used that much, but a new feature nonetheless. The new controller also apparently has an improved speaker as well. They go into detail about the new adaptive triggers, much like the Xbox One's latest control revision, describing them as that they can offer varying levels of resistance to make shooting a bow and arrow feel like the real thing. the tension increasing as you pull the arrow back, or making a machine gun feel far different from a shotgun. It also boasts haptic feedback far more capable than the rumble motor console gamers are used to, with highly programmable voice coil actuators located on the left and right grips of the controller. The editor also got to try out the controller while playing a tech demo, saying, "I ran a character through a platform level featuring a number of different surfaces, all of which gave distinct and surprisingly immersive tactile experiences. Sand felt slow and sloggy, mud felt slow and soggy. On ice, high-frequency response made the thumbsticks feel like my character was gliding. Jumping into a pool, I got a sense of resistance to the water. On a wooden bridge, a bouncy sensation." And apparently Sony has been working on this haptic feedback technology since the DualShock 4 was in development and was ready to include it in the PS4 Pro's release, but held it back for next generation because they didn't want to split the experience for gamers. There are also some smaller improvements in the controller. It's now a USB Type-C charging port like the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and it has a larger battery capacity needed to power the haptic motors. It's also worth noting that they said the controller will be slightly heavier due to the bigger battery. We still don't know what the console will look like, even though it's been confirmed by an unnamed insider that the recent leaked images of the dev kit is actually what it looks like. But if history serves us correctly, the dev kits haven't really looked like the final console. But who knows? The dev kit's pretty stylized, with this cheeky V for some reason. What can this V stand for? Voluptuous, vicious, virgin, vanilla ice, voila, Valve. Valve? Is Valve secretly in cahoots with Sony and Steam's going to be on the PS5? With the whole back catalog of PC games? You heard it here first, everyone. Wait, what? V is the Roman numeral for the number 5? Oh yeah. No specific launch titles have been announced for the PS5, but we do know that Bluepoint Games, the studio behind remasters such as Shadow of the Colossus and the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, is working on something right now. Marco Thrush, president of Bluepoint Games, simply remarked, "We're working on a big one right now, I'll let you figure out the rest." People are speculating maybe Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill 2, or even the very much in demand Demon's Souls. Marco didn't specify whether it be a launch title or not, but imagine if they actually did a full-fledged Metal Gear Solid or Silent Hill 2 remake with entirely new assets with the PS5 capabilities. People would shit themselves. I doubt very much this would be the case, but a guy can dream, can't he? All that I'm saying is, if Sony is releasing a remaster at launch or soon after and calling it big, it better damn well be good and of a beloved game. Maybe a Tony Hawk game? That would be awesome. Well, I don't know about you guys, but hearing about next generation stuff always gets me
Crazy horny.
Only a year to go and we'll have the PS5. It's just around the corner, guys.